Let's talk on the general things now. First thing, like during the interview, the very first thing that comes in the panel would definitely ask you for a brief introduction. So what you have to do is like you have to cover the most important. But he doesn't care like from where you got education, from where what you have done BTech or anything. What he would be most focused upon is like what is your current role? Like you are working as a software engineer, associate software engineer at what company? What is the total level of experience you have in Salesforce? Then you have to talk about like what are the skill set like you have like any certifications or credentials or trillion ranks or something like if you suppose don't have any certifications anything you should be covering like your trailhead super batches and then what are the different means what is the points or what your rank on the trailhead. Then the next part that you should be covering upon is like you have to ask the means you have to talk about your skill set like suppose you worked on the sales cloud service cloud or expense cloud you will have to talk about that like you have done these things. And then the next part you have to ask him like or him or her like if you allow me can I talk about the project like which I recently worked upon, and 99.9% the panel would say like please go ahead. Then your entire focus should be on the project. You'll have to talk about like what is the business problem uh, that you solved, and then what you have to talk about is like what are different things that are developed in, and then you have to talk about like what of all those functionalities, what the particular things that you worked upon. Then the panel would talk of means next the panel would talk about like whatever things you what worked upon. Like suppose you worked on the Apex, then they would ask you about like order of execution. That would be a short question. Then they will talk about like how the sharing model of the application worked upon was done. Like and while mentioning the project, be very much concrete. Don't say anything abstract like this is like the dealer management system and all. No. Talk about like what are the actors you have considered. You have to talk about like what are the profiles, like how the security model was done, then how the sharing means what was the OWD, what are the different means go to the very granular level. Don't say like means don't be abstract or everything like in the air. 1 second, I'm actually trying to see like if I can get the invite link. Yeah. So what I would saying is your focus should be on the what project that you worked upon. If that is not done rightly, then the interview would be entirely on the panel's control, which we don't want. Your focus should be like how I can make it work, like how I want it to be governed. That's how you would approach any of the interview. You will only speak the things that you're confident upon or what would be of relevance to the panel, and then let the panel focus on means by what the way of your talking the panel would means if you say the pitch it the right way, then what are the areas that you're strong on, the panel would 90% of the time would choose that would talk about those things only which you stress or emphasize upon. So that's how the first things means the interview questions would get started. Any questions so far? Please acknowledge.
No, Ankit.
Okay. So after this introduction and these initial questions, then he would be talking about like from the project perspective, like for the general hiring as well. Then the next part they would be covering about is like, do you have exposure of integration? Or what are the, if yes, then you will have to talk about like how the integration is done. Like it would be inbound or it would be outbound. Then you will have to talk means they would ask like what are different ways that you can do the integration. They will say like we can do it like synchronously and asynchronous both the ways. And if so like then you will have to talk about like see there are various different integration patterns, and then you will have to start talking about like request reply fire and forget data virtualization UI data update. Then you will have to talk about batch data synchronization and remote calling also you can talk about. So like this, the things would actually flow.
Okay.
Any specific questions you have, like? And your
In
yeah,
yeah, in integration part, I mean, as a 3 years of experienced candidate, I didn't work on much on an integration part. So how much should I mean, how I mean,
what level of things you should know,
how much?
right?
Yeah. What level of things I should know? Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so what you need to know is like, uh, suppose the panel would be expecting you like, when will you do actually an integration, and when you would be doing the one-time historic data load. Do you understand the difference?
No, I didn't get
What I mean is
last
like,
one.
what I mean is like some scenarios we really don't do any integration. Like whatever is the existing data, we just directly move those data into Salesforce, right? This is one approach. And second is like, the system is you're doing the data load, but going further, like Salesforce would remain the system of records. Are all of you clear on the word system of records or golden record, or no?
No, Ankit.
Okay, not a problem. Let me just cover that. See, system of records means the system from which the data would be the most accurate. What would be kind of master data? Like suppose there is a record, like say lead record. Okay. One the lead is created in say SAP, okay, and which is transferred to Salesforce. Assume that this is the kind of scenario. So the system of records would be SAP because the lead originated in SAP. There might be chances like the data in Salesforce might not be accurate, since it is like integration. We don't know whether it would be real time synced or not. But what we can rely upon is like SAP because the entire data was in SAP only. So the original source of where the most accurate information would be available, that is called a system of record. Are all of you?
Okay. In this case, the system of records means the records which are in SAP, right?
Yes, because the critical means the original source or the most accurate information was in SAP.
Okay. Got.
Yeah, now talking about like integration. So what happens is like sometimes we actually do an integration and sometimes we just do a data load. Like suppose there's a requirement, like I know like I'm moving from SAP to Salesforce, and I don't want to going further. I won't be utilizing SAP. Assume like that. So what I would do is like what are the records that are in SAP, I would just move them into Salesforce, and I am already connected to Salesforce. Like I'm already on an instance. So my things would work out. I don't have to do any integration because I just needed the data to be moved from SAP to Salesforce. This is one scenario where you are just doing one time load. Second is the integration part when it would be coming in. Like suppose there's a scenario like you have Salesforce and you want like SAP some data from SAP to move to Salesforce, and you want some data of Salesforce that should go to SAP as well. Like assume, like take an example of an order. Okay, it might happen like from Salesforce you're creating an order, but order fulfillment and other things are happening in SAP. But definitely in Salesforce, like the order record you're having in, so you would want like if any updates are happening to SAP, those should be synced into Salesforce, right? And whatever I'm saying, is it that making sense or is it just going
No.
uh,
It's
making some
making
sense?
sense. Oh, yes.
Yeah, so this is like one kind of integration. Like here it is bidirectional. Why bidirectional? Because you are sending the order data to SAP. SAP is getting those information, and then SAP is again pushing new information. Like it is full whenever the order status was changed to fulfilled in SAP, that information is again coming to Salesforce via another transaction, right?
Okay.
So it is bidirectional integration.
Okay.
Even with 3 years of experience, I would say like you will have to just know like what are the integration patterns. Uh, so
Okay.
I covered those things. There's a slide in the WhatsApp group that I have already shared, like different kind of patterns with their practical examples of Salesforce.
Okay, I will check out.
Uh, just high level, I will just say onto the call so that if by chance it makes the things a little more easy to understand.
Okay.
See, like suppose in controller you you can do a call out, like you do means you hit an API, like say some Google Maps API or some Google API you are consuming it from the controller. You're directly just writing that code http.send in a controller. What you're expecting is like the response would come in real time from the Google API, right?
Yes.
So this is your request and reply.
Okay.
Second is like asynchronous, that is your fire and forget. So what you do is like I have a controller, like same example, but what I want is like after my case is say closed, I want to do an API call to say Marketo or Mailchimp or any mailing service. So what I can do is like whenever in that controller where I'm setting the case status to closed, I can do a future call. I can write a method which is like at the rate future call out equal to true and write that code of hitting that Mailchimp API that would trigger the emails to the contact. So where I'm utilizing at the rate future, I'm doing a future call. That is an example of fire and forget. It is called fire and forget because user is not waiting till the response is coming to Salesforce. Is independent, like is UI is refreshed, everything is going it in the background, like how you do in the mobile app. You suppose you do any update, then you don't wait like a response is coming or not. Few scenarios would continue in the background and you don't have to worry about those things. So this is your fire and forget. So like this, there are some integration patterns that you at least conceptually you should know. Not in the detail, I agree, but you should know like what are you actually doing in. Are you hitting it the API, like what integration pattern you are doing, following?
Okay.
Then yeah, here one more catch. Please be updated about the latest releases in any interview. Like I was recently interviewed with one of the companies, so they asked me like suppose when the case is updated, you have to hit a third party service. What you would do as a nice? I was interviewed for architect position, so they asked me this question. So what I said is like it would depend. Again, like there is not always like you have to just respond to and give the answer. Sometimes you have to double confirm. Like in the world, it's in Salesforce, everything is depending upon what kind of requirement you have. What is the volume of data that you'll be covering in? So your next question should be: Will the what will the API means if you have to do an API call? From what objects will be the data coming off? It would be the same object like which I'm working on the case object you mentioned. So your next question should be like only I'm assuming like only the case data would be sent in the API request. You ask this question to the panel. Few scenarios confirm like go to the very ground level like what is the requirement. Don't just hurry about like answering like yes this is the solution or this is how you do it. No, get the requirements very much clear. Be very much concrete. That's how you approach. And many scenarios, we don't ask the questions. Like 99% of the people won't ask, they just focus on replying to the answer. Don't hurry in the giving the answer. Get the requirements very much right. The more you, if you ask the right questions, the panel would feel like more confident on you. Like, yes, he's not mugged up or anything like that. He's like thinking the thing, going in the logical direction.
Correct.
So I was talking about like the latest releases. So in the latest release, you can do a call out from the flow itself. I hope everyone knows that.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. How does that call out work? Like means can I use the means will I be used able to use the custom settings, or how would that API call be I would be able to do?
No idea about that.
It works on the name credential.
Oh,
Okay.
Research on these things.
Okay, we will check out after the call.
Yes, please. Because these
Yeah,
things would come in because people are expecting you to know the latest releases.
good, good. I had to face this question yesterday itself.
Yeah, I know that these things it also happened to me, but I was pretty much sure. Like I just knew how to tackle it, and then knew the panel also didn't knew the how it at the ground level it would work. So I was just without knowing the actual stuff, I was just focusing upon what would be the ideal way it should work.
Okay.
So the next thing that would be important from the interview's perspective is like LWC. Like what scenarios like the core difference between LWC and Aura. LWC is like a browser standard, like your web components, and there's only one way binding in that. Whatever changes you do on the JS controller would be reflected on the UI. But in the UI, if you make any modifications, those variables won't be updated by default in LWC JavaScript controller. And then performance wise, you'll have to say like LWC is more better. Just to talk about LWC, like it just came to my mind, like LWC also we have got a new function update, like you can create dynamic components in LWC as well, like how we used to do it in Aura. Please read, like whoever was saying like was working on preparing for LWC, please read about these updates.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. The next thing is like one more catch. I also mentioned about order of execution. I would say don't go by any blogs on this. Read the official documentation because there's a slight order of execution that has been changed, which might not be reflected on the blogs that we have, means multiple blogs that are published online. So my recommendation is like go through the official Salesforce site only, because now the order of execution is like before a trigger, before flows comes first, and then we have the before triggers that are getting executed. Earlier the order was different.
Oh, okay.
The next important part is around like roles and profile. Like although it's a simple question, but you'll have to understand like why we do these things. Like many times the requirement would come to you like there is like call center guys, like there are like two persons. One is like a manager, other is the like regular agent only. So how many profiles and roles should be created in? So in that regards, you would say like both belong to the same business profile. So the profile we will be needing in only one, but with that consideration, like app wise, like the both would be utilizing the same app. If we want like a particular app should not be available for the other persons, then we'll have to create two profiles, or any IP restrictions we want that should be imposed for the agent but not for the manager. in that regards as well, you will have to create two profiles. Other than these two considerations, you'll always go with one profile because business wise both are belonging to same kind of work they would be doing in. Uh, do you all know about permission set groups?
Yes, yes, yes. Nowadays, we are going. We have seen one change in the 2024 winter also. That like
Yeah.
muted permission sets.
Let me ask you this one question that would clear the things. Can I reduce the permission by any means for a particular user?
Yes, yes. We can restrict.
Restrict, like earlier you had more access, but you want to reduce it.
Yes, yes, yes.
How?
Earlier we can extend only. Now we can reduce the access by using muting the permission
Yes.
permission set
And
groups.
yes, yes, yes. But we also specific like the only certain permissions that you can do. Not all. There's
Yes, yes.
restrict there's restriction on that.
Correct.
Then conceptually you should be clear about like the public groups and queues. Groups are
Okay.
used groups are used to give access to a set of records. And the concept of queue is to distribute the load.
Yeah, we can share the ownership.
Yes, there are multiple other advantages as well. Like with public group, you can use it in the means queue can be a owner of a record, but public group cannot be. Then the public group you can utilize it in the list views. All the queues also we can share up a list view with the particular queue as well. Means actually not, but automatically it gets created.
Okay.
Then apart from that, roles, profiles, permission set groups. Have you heard about custom permissions as well?
No, 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 not actually.
Custom permission is actually a specific kind of it gives you for some business process. Some actually the actual use case is if for a particular business process you want only specific people to be able to perform particular task. So that particular task you can give that permission using custom permissions. What it does is like you what means how you have to use it is you have to create the custom permission and then you can add it in the permission set. So, and then in the code or in the your validation rules, in the your Apex, in your LWC, you can use those like under dollar permission dot that custom permission name. So you would be able to what do you say? Control the thing visibility better way. And also you would be able to manage the data like the validation rules and all of those using the custom permission.
Okay. We'll check
Eh,
about this.
Yeah. Also the very an important part like in whichever interview you go where like what are experience you they would definitely ask you like what are the clouds like you are comfortable on. So whatever cloud you're saying, like suppose you're talking about sales cloud or service cloud or experience cloud, be very much clear like from the business endpoint like what problem actually it is solving. Like suppose I talk about experience cloud. Experience cloud the use case is like it's like self-service portal. The core use cases like we want to reduce the calls that the agents are getting in. So for that we want like the customers are able to help themselves by going to the portal, going through the knowledge card articles or through the live chat so that the calls on the agents are getting reduced. That is the entire use case of experience cloud. The same way you'll have to and the core abilities. You'll whatever cloud you're talking about, go through the Salesforce official website and then the pricing. They also tell you about the core features that are available, like opportunity management, contact management. all of those things are mentioned in the Salesforce documentation. So whatever role you're going in, but please go through like what are the core, at least for whatever cloud you're saying like you're strong in, please learn about like what are the core abilities. Like where like when I talk about like Sales Cloud, forecasting is a very important feature of the Sales Cloud. And if you don't, the panel would definitely talk about it, at least with the senior roles. And for the mid level experience, like say 4 to 5 years, you're expected to know about the basic licensing as well, like the Salesforce license, Salesforce platform, what is the core differences. Then you will have also expected to know about like customer community, means for the community side, customer community license, customer community plus login, partner community plus. So, and then the sharing part of that as well. Like for sharing, we have the sharing set in for the customer community, where the sharing rules available from custom community plus license. Then Apex based sharing is also available from customer community plus. Then apart from that, manual sharing is anyways available from plus license. Yeah, one more thing. Like on the triggers, like the sharing is still a relevant question, like with sharing, without sharing, and inherited sharing. So I assume like whatever interviews that you all would be giving in, this question would be asked. So you all are prepared, right?
Yes.
You'll have to write like inherited keyword so that the inherited sharing is imposed. Otherwise, it would work like a without sharing only, if not mentioned. Then the next part. Means you can talk about the topic so that my mind clicks like what actually content is expected. Like there are a lot of things. Like if I start saying,
Okay.
do all of you know about S object?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just paste one line in the chat. Tell me like whether this line will work or not. Will this code execute or not? Or will it throw error?
No, it will work, I think. It will work.
Even this? Mostly these kind of things would be coming in like when you try to write very generic code. Are you all aware of database dot set save point and database dot rollback?
Yes. Whenever the operation was, any
AML.
DML operation failed
Yes.
in between the
Yes.
transaction, the rollback will be. Yeah.
Yeah, but these are like sometimes in the code you'll have to also use those things. And but these two statements also count against a DML statement. In your PD1 exam, this question covering this topic would definitely comes in.
Can you tell that point again?
Yeah, what I meant is database dot set point if you use and database dot rollback, These two are also counted against the governor limit for the transaction. Like if I write like insert say account instance, so this is one DML statement directly, like we are utilizing the insert method. The same way, like if I use database dot set save point and database dot rollback, these two are also called against the table limit.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking about like future methods. You cannot call a future from another future method. And this question would come like why it is why you means what are the parameters you can pass to the future method, and then you'll have to just say like you can pass list of IDs and the primitive data types only. The panel would ask like why you are not means why objects are not supported. You'll have to say like Salesforce wants to maintain the data integrity. Otherwise, what would happen like future methods are executed asynchronously. So in the main duration, the data would get if there are chances like data might get updated and which might cause inconsistency in Salesforce database. So Salesforce does not allow passing objects as a object parameter. This is one of the common interview question. And whatever limit that we have like in Salesforce, try to think from the logical angle like why is that limit imposed. The next question is around like we all use like see all data like in the test class, see all data equal to false. Have any of you written any test classes?
Yes.
And the very top like at the rate S test in the bracket you mentioned is see all data equal to false, right?
Yes.
Do you know why we write that?
Uh, if you mention see all data, we can. I mean, we are able to access every data.
See, what would happen like if I don't do that? It would corrupt my actual database records as well, because if I'm doing see all data equal to true. Now the question arises, if Salesforce knows like we should not be utilizing the orgs database, then why it is allowing us to choose that option? Why it is giving itself an option? So to answer to this is like you will have to tell about like a few of the things like chatter and reports and dashboard. Uh, for that specific purpose, Salesforce will have to use the orgs data only for those purposes. Salesforce has given that option. Other than that, that's why it's recommended like we don't use see all data equal to true. For very specific use cases like chatter and reports and dashboard, see all data would be might be required in for writing the relevant test cases.
Okay, got.
Now talking about test classes, test will start test and stop test. What is the use case? Like why we write those? And can't if I don't write, what is the harm? So you'll have to say about like there's no harm like if I don't write it, but the problem would be if there's any asynchronous method or where there was too much DML operations that were consumed, like when I was creating the test data, then it would throw me some errors which should not have thrown. See all means when I write test.start test, whatever are the DML limits that I have are getting reset. And test.stop test forces my asynchronous methods to execute synchronously. So that is the reason like I write test.start test and stop test. The next question would be like, can I write multiple test.start test and stop test in the same method? You will have to say like no. Whenever you write the second time test.start test, it would say like the test method is already started. Other than that, do you know about normalization and denormalization database concept?
No.
DBMS. Okay, let me talk about like sometimes actually panel is more focused. Like sometimes what happens like the panel is coming out from other technology and wants to keep the things at the very basic oops level. So normalization of database is like suppose in my suppose I am like a contact record. Okay, on the contact I have like account lookup, right? On contact we have that lookup of account. Agreed?
Yes, yes.
So account is actually it's a company. See, there. Let me just show. Like, suppose, let me talk about a situation. Like I'm an employee. So I'm mentioning my name, my say employee number, and suppose if I talk about if I put like this information, company name, XYZ, company address, ABC, like that. If there's another employee, now these two records, like go see the chat section. Both of these are on the same belong to the same company. So if suppose the company name is changed, then I will have to do the updates on all of those tables, all those records. Agreed?
Okay. Yes, yes. Agreed.
Yeah, suppose the address of the company is changing from company address ABC to say PQR. So I will have to make updates in all those records. So to avoid that, what I can do is like I can just mention the company ID in the database. Now, if any changes happen to the company name or company address, I can just update one record of the company and others would all get reflected because I'm just capturing the external ID or I would say the reference key, primary external ID in general database terms. I'm talking about not the regular external ID like which we talk about in Salesforce. So here, like when I had like company name and company address in the same table of employee, that was my denormalization. I had merged the data of company and employee in a single record. And now if I'm segregating that information into multiple parts where each of those is an atomic transaction like a separate entity, that is called the concept of normalization. Did I make some sense? I assume like all should know that. It is a very basic database concept, or might be terminology might be new. Like whoever are not from computer science background, they might be wondering. Whatever I said made some sense.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, any specifics anyone wants to ask, or we can close now?
May I know the complete syllabus, interview syllabus for the LWC?
Complete interview syllabus. Actually,
I mean,
LWC, there are like, have you joined the WhatsApp group?
no, 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 not it.
Okay. In that, there are some links, like some documents that already therein. So you can join that. I can just give that link to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I pasted that.
Okay.
And also the integration deck that I had given the session, that is also therein. So I think these two would be quite helpful. And if you liked it, you can share those things in the LinkedIn as well. I will give my LinkedIn handle, I mean LinkedIn URL. So
Sure.
and this I would be just uploading in a few minutes to YouTube. So
I have one query in batch epics classes
yeah,
that what is the
sorry, in batch epics
difference
after
between a get query? Would you have method to get the records like get query select
database dot get query locator and
yeah
regular database dot
get
get
query
query.
locator, and there are other method is iterator, right?
Yes, so there's a fundamentally conceptually very much difference. Database dot get query locator we use where we know like the data is coming. We have to get those data. We don't have that records available with us. We'll have to fetch those records. And the other one that we have, like iterator one, where we know like the data is already with us. I don't need to a separate query. In those scenarios, mostly what we do is in the constructor itself, we pass that uh, list of records. And then you create those instances in the batch class. 1 minute. Let me see, like there should be a example anywhere on the internet.
Yeah, I googled it, but I didn't get it clearly, so that's why I'm asking.
Okay, let me just share my screen and just show it for
They are
you.
saying that yeah.
1 second. Just share my screen. Or let me just see, like if ChatGPT, whatever it generates, is much more accurate than me. Or let me just say, like I'm just opening VS Code because I want to use uh, this one. VS Code, this Einstein for developers. Einstein. Let me see it. Yeah, like this. Basically, what we do is like instead of writing these all logic, the normal way what we I will just take this example and just would just tweak it to make it a little bit simple for you.
Ankit,
Yeah. Is my screen visible?
it's
Yeah.
visible now. Okay.
Okay. So let me just take it. Look. Normally, what we do is here in the parameter as well, I actually pass. In practical use cases I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like from whatever theoretical it's talking about. It makes some logical sense. These lines are not at all required. Here, what should be the scenario is like you already have like a list of subject. It would throw an error if this line as it is mentioned because 1 minute. Because there's like no private means no default constructor. I have mentioned the parameterized constructor, but I have not mentioned the default constructor. So that line would have thrown error. So this is the way it would work. Like you would create that whatever variable like you have already like you want that data to be already passed. So you create that data first and then you pass that in the constructor itself. And now in the batch class, what you do, you just have that variable declared in here, and then you work on that iterator. Now automatically like it would then your scope like how like with the get query locator you're getting the different individual record. The same would be available here as well. Did it make some sense?
Yes, yes, yes. What is the
Wait,
maximum number of records we can get from the iterator?
iterator as such, there's no specific limit, like, but the parameters you're passing in definitely the limit would come in. Like while you're getting those records from here, you're populating those records. In most scenarios, like I have not heard anything on that limit. I think iterator it would be quite large. I actually would be there won't be that limit from that perspective, but I think the limit would be from the heap size or a CPU time limit perspective, I think.
Okay.
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 Okay, then I think we can all drop off. I can stop the recording. Somewhere the start.